An error. No YouTube.
Yeah, I know. I told you that I got that
No,
message earlier.
no, I know. So just go.
Yeah, just go.
All right.
But what really gets me excited is that I know that this is something that you're very passionate about.
It's like the best video
This is
ever. We
great.
got 25 minutes. We gotta go.
Hi.
What's going on?
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Hump day.
It could be your first time with us. And if it is your first time with us, we just want to give you a huge, huge welcome. Here on Say That channel, we are all about the ugly come up of entrepreneurship and small business ownership. Many of you probably have heard these stories about how somebody started from nothing and then they have massive success. But what
Say that.
happens in the middle? What happens during that ugly come up? Well, that is what we are unapologetic about talking about right here on this show. What are the pitfalls we need to circumvent? What's the mindset we need to have? And what is it like for other people who are also in the trenches right now in the ugly come up?
Say that. Say
We're
that.
excited to have those conversations with you and build community with you around that. And so don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. That tells YouTube that you really like what we've got going on, and then it helps algorithm send on the message to others. Please also share this with friends and family who you feel like this would be really cool for them to hear. And if you are watching with us live, yay, we're so excited to have you on. So please go ahead and put a one if this is the first time that you're with us. If you're watching the replay, we love to see the ones even in the replay. If this is not your first time with us, if you are a Say That Nation member, then
Say that.
please go ahead and put Say That in the comments so that way we can shout you out as well. We love to see all of you. So, again, for our first timers, you know, we have very short attention spans, right? So we figured out that 25 minutes, that's about it. That's 25 minutes, and then people are checked out. And so we have 25 minutes to answer the topic question of the day. And when the time runs out, oh no, what do we do? Well, when we have a guest, we go into overtime. And in overtime, you can hear the rest of the conversation and a deeper answer into the things that they've been talking about with us on the show. And so that is what you can expect today. The description for all of that is below, and you can make sure that you become a Patreon member there.
Absolutely.
But today's a great day. We've got a great question. Let's go ahead and put that up. Could brand therapy be the key to your business's success?
Love it.
Brand therapy. Let's just talk about branding in general, but brand therapy.
Yeah.
This is a great question. We have a great guest who's on with us today who's going to be able to help us answer this question. He is the CEO of his own company. He's been in this space for over 5 years. You can tell me if I'm wrong. He's an entrepreneur. He's been doing the work. He's in the trenches just like all of us. I can't wait for you guys to hear from Navere Carter.
Our next guest.
There he is.
What's going on? What's going on?
Much better.
So we're happy to have you with us. For people who are not familiar with you and your work, tell us a little bit about how you got into the space of branding for businesses.
Yeah, so I got into the space really honestly just from freelancing and just really figuring out I really like to do my own thing, be in control of what I want to do with my life, my career, move on my time. And it started in school. When I was in school, learning this while I was in college, actually started freelancing while I was in college, and it kind of like sparked my interest where it was kind of like, wait, I don't have a degree yet, and I can still make money doing this. Like, all right, I'm on to something, you know. And that kind of like sparked the fire in me to really get into it more. But at that time, I was not a business minded person at all. I was just simply a creative, just find a way how to just exchange it for money. And then over the years, that's how it grew.
Very cool.
That is really cool. Your story is not unique in that you start to figure out, like, I don't necessarily need a college degree in order to make money. I feel like this is becoming more and more of a common, like, awakening.
Yeah. As we step out of the norms of the kind of factory industry businesses that we've been accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So, like we were saying before, you're an excellent person to answer today's question. So let's get into it. So could brand therapy be the key to your business's success? First of all, let's get into brand therapy. What does that mean to you?
So to me, I believe that the process of branding, as far as what I offer, is um, therapeutic in itself, right? You're solving problems for people. And as you're growing your business in different ways, again, it's a process, it's a journey, and along the way, just like in life, you're going to get stuck. You know, there's certain limitations that you have in yourself, and usually your success doesn't grow past your personal development. And so it kind of like intertwines. And so I kind of like try to figure out how to bridge the gap between the two, between that and design. And it helped me to design better. And I was like, all right, wait a second, like let's try to combine these two, together. And it's both needed. And definitely. And from there, it just helped me to stand out, differentiate myself in the market. And it's a great selling point. It's a great offer for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Navere. It makes me, in terms of like Janelle and I talked to, I think it was like a business coach, maybe like a year or 2 years ago, and she talked about like niche when you're getting into marketing, and how I guess how you present a business. And what comes to mind when I think of just the term, brand therapy, it's like there's a show where they have a guy who goes around and helps bars remodel themselves. And it's like taking an existing, foundation of something, but just changing aspects of it. How do you approach that when it comes to companies as a whole? Like what makes up, like what aspects are you looking at when you think of a brand for a company? Is that just a logo? Is that company policy? You know what I mean? Like, is that the core values of a company? Like what makes up a brand?
So honestly, the brand makes up pretty much. It's not who you say you are; it's what they say you are. And so a lot of times there's a misperception of I have this value to offer to the market, or to a specific business or consumer, and what I have to offer, I feel like is the most. Not me personally though, but from the person of a business standpoint, is very valuable to the market. But sometimes it doesn't come across to certain people like, I don't see the value you have to offer. And that's usually like the first issue or standpoint, because like you're not getting the results that you're looking for. And so usually it's a communication thing where you want to be perceived as value you had to offer. And when that happens, that's when the magic happens. And so really with that, it's beyond just a logo. It's your overall perception and how you want to be known. And so if you say that you are the best in your industry, or however you want to market yourself as, coining your differentiation, anybody that's a client of yours, your ideal client, has to agree with that to solidify that for you. But it's not solidified. You don't have to.
So it's almost like reputation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as with it, I think the other half of branding that a lot of times I come across or see is brand identity I think a common misperception of like what a brand is how it identified. And that's just part of it, right? That's more so of your interactions from day to day, your beliefs, how you treat people. Is a major thing that's kind of like swept under the rug. And just also the experience when somebody's interacting with you, people are going to remember, how you made them feel more than what you said. So whenever you're interacting with, your audience or client in particular, as long as it's consistent, it's coming from an authentic place, people can connect with that. And if you're just consistent with that, people remember that more. People work with who they like, know, and trust. So that's more important at the core of your brand to, just connect as you possibly can, on an anchored level. And from there, people just want to know more about you. Naturally, they're interested, and if you got value to bring, like, that's even better. You got something to sell, offer them, that make their lives better. I want to be a part of it.
So when you mentioned that, at what stage do you think, and I love when we started out, you talked about, you the creative aspect of it, you kind of caught on to really fast, but then just transition into the business or learning how to actually create a business around your skill, took another level. How do you, or maybe it's more of a, where do you think a business at what stage should a business step out and start to think about some of the things you're talking about? You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
5 years down, like, because I'm thinking when someone's just getting started, so maybe similar to you, again, it's this idea of what do I even stand for? I think many businesses just start on, I just want to get my product in people's hands because I know it can offer value, but to build something around that, like I think of Starbucks and things like that, like it's just coffee, but it's more in a sense, and maybe that's a poor example. I don't, that's not my space.
No, definitely. I don't think there's a one root answer for it, but I would
Okay.
say this because everybody's journey is different. But I would say that it is important starting out to work with a strategist, because the hardest part that most people struggle with is thinking. Thinking is the hardest work to get done. And if somebody could think and strategize for you, it would save you months, even years of time of mistakes, money, loss, so much more. And so most times when people start out, they just want to have an offer and get out to sell it. And it may take you longer than normal to get to, your goals and your success, because you go through those pitfalls. Until you're actually learning, like, all right, what is it that specifically is my secret formula to get somebody to say yes, right, effortlessly. And that is the most hardest thing to do, um, but eventually what it makes you do is that you outgrow the brand identity that you start with. So when you start out, you do whatever you can to just hurry up and get the message out there and start selling, which is fundamental for entrepreneurship. I don't think there's an issue with it, but at some point, as you start growing and things are changing and people are starting to perceive you for the value you have to offer, that you believed in yourself, then you outgrow that brand identity. And so now it's like I have to go back to the drawing board and get this done over again. So now that my look actually appeals to my success. And that part is another hiccup, because now you're tossing out thousands and you're putting some of your work process on hold to go through this process and redo it all over again. And I think that's another issue that a lot of clients have, that I love to help solve that problem for them. But that's usually what I come across, though, for sure.
I've never heard someone bring that up.
Yeah, I love that. I love, like, because that, I'm sure, happens all the time. I feel like I even have heard Gary Vee talk about this, but this idea that, like, you grow, right? Like, you grow as a person, and so of course your business is going to grow also, right? And whether that's scaling, and like now you're just scaling your business, right? So you are less involved in the day to day, and like more people are being served, and you're also now hiring people to do certain things. Sure, that's growth. But then there's also the growth of, like, yeah, maybe your brand is just helping people in a different way. And maybe not, maybe sometimes it's like complete 180, like maybe it is something different, but I'm sure a lot of times it's not. It's just kind of like an offshoot or an extension of what was already happening. But you do need to almost
You know,
rebrand, right? You need to like,
yeah, I was just about to say, I think that's such a good point, because when companies do seek to take on new, other aspects or try to bring things under their umbrella, but don't take into account how that may differ, it just makes me think of when we've been with other companies, and just this how we all got weird about marketing another product, because we'd had like just this one track mind towards this what we were already doing, because there wasn't someone maybe like Navere coming in going, hey, let's start looking at the strategies we should talk about as you kind of get this, work this in so that people start to understand it before just throwing it out to them on the stage.
yeah.
You know?
Or like, okay, so here's an example that maybe like is big enough for everybody to identify with. I'm thinking like when Apple computers went from computers to then the iPod, they're like MP3 player. They were not, and like that started the whole iTunes thing and whatever. They were only known for computers. Navere, could you like walk us through some of like what you think might have been some of the thinking? Obviously, you don't know for sure, but like, what do you think are some of the things that probably came up for Apple at that time when they're thinking? Obviously, when they're thinking like we kind of have to rebrand a little bit, not so far off, but like yes.
Or do you have a company that you've worked with that's done something like what Janelle's describing?
Oh yeah.
That the inner workings, obviously.
Sort of. I do, not on the level of Apple. I can't say
that. There are very few apples in the world.
Yeah. I was just trying to do brand recognition.
No, for sure. I would say I have a client that's a nonprofit out in Austin, and great example. I've noticed that the most successful businesses or companies that I come across are the ones that have like their greatest whys, and that their mission is personal. And when you have somebody who has a mission that's personal, they're unstoppable. Like they're just unstoppable. And so pretty much the client that I have there, I'll never forget. So like I would say I've been working with them since 2022, maybe right after the pandemic, 2020 or 2021. But they were just starting out as a nonprofit organization, and really had a small budget, very small team. And usually I was just going to turn it down, and something was just kind of like work with them. And I just went ahead and listened to it. And I really believed in his vision because he was working with prison reform. So their vision was to create a nonprofit that offers prison reform opportunities for those that, are getting back into society. And it just didn't, exist on that scale that he was trying to do in Texas. And so I stuck with him, and 2 years later, they just blew up. They blew up. And so from like right now, it started from doing that to starting the website from what they was able to work with, just solving smaller problems. So like now they have bigger problems, and was able to revisit, and they're rebranding all over again. And so like now we're branding again, but it's on another growth level. And now they're solving bigger problems. There's a bigger budget. And so I think now like, and that taught me so much learning from that, because being a part of that experience allowed me to learn so much more insight into like what is that magic to get somebody that level of success, especially in a 2 or 3 year time frame. And I noticed with it's just kind of like if you have a greater purpose or mission driven within your why, and you're willing to be polarizing with it, you're just unstoppable. It's attractive. And I've literally watched just so many companies from Indeed to the city of Austin just come and hop on board and just want to be a part of this. And it just, from there, it just started to grow into more and more and more success.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it just kept repeating the process. So to be in the back, to actually, get a seat at the table in the inner workings, just outside of just not, just helping them build their brand and helping with the website design, I've gotten to see like what goes into that. And yeah, it is amazing. It's definitely amazing.
Very cool.
Okay, so I need a little bit more meat on these bones that you've laid out here.
Okay.
So the why is super important. And I get that, right? Because that's the come from, that's like, that's what's going to keep them going when things get rough and all of that. And for what it's worth, especially a nonprofit. I also like the fact that you mentioned that their why is a little bit provocative, right? And it makes a stand, right? Almost. So
Mhm.
that's going to draw attention, right? And get people to pay attention and then make a decision whether they want to support or not. And thank God, like a lot of people have been wanting to support. But where did you fit in terms of like, so this is growth, right? This sounds like they've now expanded their reach. They're now able to help more people.
Mhm.
And so were you asking them questions like, in terms of your brand, what do you want people to be? What do you want people to know you for now? Like, what were some of the questions that you were asking them for you to be able to like help them navigate this growth process? Or was it? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Let me just.
No, definitely. I'm glad you asked that too. One thing with him is that his vision was very clear. Most that it was just a very unique experience. So he's not the norm that I would honestly go through that process with, to be honest.
Mhm.
But understanding and pretty much what is your time frame in which you want these goals to happen.
Mhm.
Really understanding what is the goal, outside of the why,
Mhm.
and um, what is the infinite game? Like, what is your end game with this?
Mhm.
A lot of times, I've realized that if you're a business owner coming into it with a finite, strategy where there's a means to an ends, rather than somebody who has like an infinite strategy coming into it, then they outlast everybody because his thought process was for this to be as big as it possibly can get, and this is the foundation of laying how we're going to do this. So I'm really just more so asking and trying to pull out of you, like, where is your vision? Like, what do you see this becoming? And once I know what those answers are, even if you're not fully able to communicate it, then we could dive a little bit deeper on asking certain questions of like, why. And it's honestly a continuing question within that. It sounds like it's very simple, in which it is. I think the hardest part about it all is that your vision is already inside of you. It's not outside of you. So it's just really me is putting a mirror up to your face to help you ask the hard questions, to really make you dig down deeper, to think, what it is you want to do and what is it that's stopping you from doing it. And sometimes it's just really shifting your focus and attention from not how, but who. And I saw him
Mm.
utilize that because instead of him figuring out how to do it because he's never done it before, his background was being a pastor in his past life before he moved to Texas. So he wasn't even from Texas. He was
Mm.
new there. And that was his vision, to do that, not knowing how to do that at all. Um, and so from there, it was getting other people that knew how to do it involved and believing in his vision, and that's what got you there. So it's really is more so for me, I'm always seeking to find out what is the root cause of the problem after I know what your vision is that's limiting you or stopping you. And it's usually a communication issue, or it's just um, a focus issue. Like you're seeking out the wrong things, like you're looking for the wrong things, your attention's on the wrong things.
Mm.
And once you focus on what the right attention is, and then you will start attracting the results you're looking for. So if most businesses are starting out and their attention is focused solely on making revenue, making revenue, making revenue,
Mhm.
and they're not solely focusing on uh, the problems people are having and what particular problems people are having, who could benefit from this the most, and explaining that and communicating that better than anybody else who does that in your market. To make it very clear. Here's how this is going to benefit you, and here's the desired transformation you're going to get. Don't make it any harder for them to not understand. I think Amazon is probably like the best company to really exemplify that, right? Because you know exactly when you're going to get your package. They tell you that, and there's the marketplace to show you what's available. And once you just give them your location and you pay for the product, they'll tell you exactly when you're going to get it. And that's what people just want to know. It's like, all right, I want to know what you're offering in detail, how it benefits me, and when exactly am I going to get it. If you're not clear on giving those two things, that's what makes people go, I don't know. And then you're trying to convince them to persuade them to do something that, what they need. So that's where the communication issue comes in. And that's where brand therapy helps it all.
Well, everything you said, it sounded like therapy. The asking the why, the like trying to figure out like what's stopping you, like all of that. Sorry, Winston, you were going to say something?
No, well, it definitely sounds like it is very it's a higher level conversation. So to that point, you mentioned I guess essentially what a business mindset is when they're maybe not first getting out there, but they're just revenue focused. When should a business, or what are signs that you typically find when you step in, that a business is experiencing when they call you? Is it, hey, we haven't been making money, hey, we're stagnant financially, we're losing employees? Like, where do you think people find themselves when they are asking the question, hey, do we need you know what I mean? Like, do we need brand therapy? Again, I'm sure they come across however you market, which I'm actually fascinated when I talk to marketers about how they market, right? So I'd love to hear how that, you do that as well. But the first question, where do you find most businesses when you come in or you step in?
That's a great question. So in the past, I worked with a lot of startups.
Okay.
So a lot of people were really in the beginning stages. As for now, I work more with businesses that are growing. And so most startups, of course, their issues can like vary from, they're just really just getting started. They're not understanding how to get the results they want. They just have a vision, and you're pretty much doing all the work, just from like the get-go. But with businesses that are established and they're coming to get like a rebrand design because they feel like, oh,
yeah, he's like, what? Huh?
Wait, finish your thought, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. But yeah, I've noticed that usually the mark comes between this price point. If they make less than $250,000 a year, the problems that they have in a business are smaller. So it's usually
nice.
seeking issues that aren't going to move the market forward. So it's just kind of like, I just really want to appeal to more clients, or this isn't giving me the results I want. This doesn't look the way I want it to look. They're not focusing on their business being an investment or the marketing being a business investment. They're looking at it more of a creative indulgence, right? And so it's just really helping them shift their mindset. So just kind of like, if you're really looking for this because you believe this new website design, this new logo is going to get you more clientele, then that's not a big enough issue, especially if you want to grow past $250,000 a year, which, you start entering solving bigger problems for clients, where now it's more clarity on like, okay, this content strategy we have for the site, this sales funnel isn't getting us the results that we're trying to make in revenue for the quarter or whatever the case may be. And then now we're talking, because now we're designing with a strategy in mind to actually get you results, so you can see, that it actually works.
All right. So in overtime, we're going to go into some of the problems of when a company is making more than 250K and what that transition looks like.
Love that. And just to, I just want to add to that, that definitely speaks to the integrity you guys have, because I know that you could obviously just sell things to people just for the strength of, oh yeah, you need this or you need this, you know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
it would reflect poorly on you now when, to your point, they aren't seeing any increase in their revenue, and you've been sold all these different things. So I just want to make sure we put people so they can connect with you, because what you're dropping is gems.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Make sure
Appreciate
you guys connect. Here you are on IG. I know we have your Facebook up. And it's all the same guys, so it's easy.
It's easy, yeah.
Seriously. And there's
It's
the
about
website,
branding.
which I definitely recommend.
Look, he's a real person. He'll contact you back if you get in his DMs. But you definitely want to make sure you can connect with Navere. You know you're going to be taken care of well. So it was awesome.
Love it.
All right, we're going to head on over to overtime. So make sure you join us there.
But until we see you guys next week, as always, remember, you deserve the good life.
Say that.
We'll see you guys overtime. We're not